Hey everyone, thank you for joining me again for another episode of the Monimate podcast. I'm your host, Hope. I hope you had a steady week. Today's episode is a little different. We're doing a listener Q&A. These are not trend questions, not market speculation, not headlines about what's hot right now. These are quieter questions, the kind people sit with, the kind that don't always get asked out loud. Questions about stability. As always, we'll explore each one through one lens: financial stability. Let's begin. Question 1. If I have savings, why do I still feel financially stressed? This question is honest because we're told something simple. If you have savings, you're safe. But safety and savings are not the same. Savings is a number, stability is timing. You can have money in your account and still experience pressure. Why? Because pressure doesn't begin at zero. Pressure begins when obligations cluster before income. If several payments land within the same window, if recovery feels uncertain, if runway feels short, stress appears. And often, the stress isn't about the amount of money, it's about not knowing when tension ends. The brain does not respond well to undefined endings. If you cannot see when stability returns, your mind assumes risk. So, if you have savings but still feel tension, ask, when does pressure begin? When does it peak? When does recovery happen? If that timeline is unclear, the stress is structural, not emotional. And structural stress requires visibility, not self-blame. Question 2. Is budgeting enough to stay stable? Budgeting is useful. It builds awareness. It builds discipline, but budgeting tracks behavior. Stability tracks timing. A budget tells you where money went. Stability tells you when your system tightens. You can follow your budget perfectly and still experience compression if income and obligations are misaligned. Discipline is valuable, but visibility creates control. Control comes from seeing forward, not only reviewing backward. Budgeting explains history. Stability explains trajectory. And trajectory determines stress. Question 3. How big should my emergency fund be? This is one of the most common financial questions. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Rules of thumb feel comforting, but stability is not built on averages. It's built on recovery time. Instead of asking, how much should I save? Ask, how long would recovery take if income stopped? How long before stability returns? Emergency funds should match your recovery profile. If your system compresses quickly, you need more runway. If your obligations are flexible, you need less. There is no universal number. There is only structure. Stability is personal, because timing is personal. Question 4. What if my income is unpredictable? Income volatility increases pressure, but volatility alone does not create instability. Misalignment creates instability. If your obligations are built around your highest possible income, compression becomes likely. If your obligations are built around your lowest reliable income, you create margin. Volatility requires structural humility. Build from the floor, not from the ceiling. If income fluctuates month to month, stability comes from smoothing expectations, not from hoping each month equals your best month. Stability assumes variability. It prepares for compression, it protects recovery. That's not pessimism, it's structural realism. Question 5. Should I invest if my cash flow feels unstable? This is where ambition meets structure. Investing builds wealth, but investing does not create stability. Stability protects wealth building. If your cash flow compresses frequently, if pressure windows are unpredictable, if runway is unclear, adding investment volatility can increase fragility. Volatility layered on top of instability amplifies stress. Stability comes first, then growth. When pressure windows are predictable, when runway is clear, when recovery is defined, investing becomes additive. Growth without stability creates stress. Stability before wealth creates resilience. And resilient growth feels different. It feels grounded. Let's pause for a moment. Notice something. None of these questions were about exact dollar amounts. They weren't about specific income levels. They were about structure, timing, recovery, predictability. Financial stability is not perfection. It is not zero stress. It is knowing what is coming, how long it lasts, when it eases. Clarity creates grounded confidence. Uncertainty creates fragile confidence. Fragile confidence breaks easily. Grounded confidence endures pressure. If you feel unsure about your financial control, do not begin with discipline. Begin with structure. Ask yourself, do I understand my timing system? Do I know when pressure forms? Do I know how long it lasts? Do I know when stability returns? Those questions change everything. Because once you understand the structure, you stop personalizing compression. You stop blaming yourself for timing patterns. You start adjusting calmly. That's real control, not rigid control, clarity-based control. We'll continue doing Q&A episodes as the show grows, because financial stability is not generic advice. It is structural awareness. I'm Hope. This is the Monimate podcast. See pressure early, stay in control. Join us next week for a new episode, and don't forget to subscribe.